I always ask people, what did people do before money? If money is 5,000 years old and human beings are 195,000 years old, what did people do before money? Of course, everyone's answer is barter, because that's the Adam Smith, who wrote The Wealth of Nations in 1776. That's the myth that he came up with about the history of human economics, which was, first there was barter, and that was extremely inefficient because you had to have a coincidence of wants. I had to want what you had to want what I have. And that was really inconvenient. So then we created money so that you didn't have to have a coincidence of wants. And then that's when things got easy. But what we find is that for most of human history, one-for-one interactions like barter and using money barter was really only reserved for people you didn't want to have continued interactions with, or people you didn't trust. So barter was really like within your tribe or your community, people didn't barter. Within this other tribe and community, people didn't barter. But when those tribes would meet or things like that, then they would barter. And that's just kind of like, you don't know this tribe very well, and you just want to, like, you're not as invested in them personally, you don't know them that well, you don't, like, your automatic interaction with them is not just like, hey, I want to see these people succeed, as it is in your own community. And so for most of human history, the way I put it is people worked and they shared. And what that looked like was you have direct relationships with the things that you consume, the things you need. You build your shelter, you gather your food, you cook your food, you make your clothes. And if you didn't have that direct relationship, you had a direct relationship with someone else who did do those things. And so those relationships created this like web of interdependence where you kind of have to help each other in a sense. It's like you have this obligation to help everyone in your community because you as an individual wouldn't survive and exist without the help of those people. Some people are better at certain things, or sometimes traditionally, women did this and men did that, or and there was different roles that people played to help this, and that kept the social fabric alive. And those little obligations of like, hey, I helped you, now I expect you to help me, which is not calculated and is not, you don't have to, there's no debt or IOU or something, but really those like little pieces of uncalculated reciprocity and expectation for reciprocity creates like a web that kind of holds the culture together, holds the tribe together. So for me, in my lifestyle, what I try to do is, well, there's kind of threefold for using less money. One is consuming less. Americans consume 40% of the resources that are consumed every day on the planet, and we're only 5% of the population. Number two is creating direct relationships with the things I consume. So, build my shelter, gather my energy from the sun. You're sitting on my solar-powered fridge. Gather my firewood for my fire. I actually gather a lot of food, which, in my case, comes in the form of dumpster diving. We throw away 40% of our food every day in this country. So I pull things out of the trash like this. This is an organic squash that just has some blemishes on it. But you cut them out and it's perfectly fine. I consume less. I create more direct relationships with the things that I consume. And then the third element, which is maybe one of the most crucial and one of the most awesome, I guess, is building intimate relationships with people. And so those are the things I can't provide for myself. Someone else can. And it's not me building a relationship because I want to take something from someone, but because I want to build a relationship with someone who needs something that I can provide. And I respect them. I want to see them succeed again, and they want to see me succeed. And you build those relationships where the resources that you can't provide for yourself, again, you're part of that interconnected web of people and life. You're not alone. You're not a lone cowboy out on the desert. Like, you need other people in life. And that's where social interactions come in, where it's like we provide things for each other when we can't for ourselves. And one of those things, which is really interesting, a basic necessity of having a happy human life is social interaction, is emotional support from people, is community. And so that's a basic necessity that we don't talk about with food, shelter, or water. Is that, I don't know what you would call it, love, or whatever. That's a basic human necessity. And that's where the third one comes in, where part of the reason we need that is so that we can fulfill things for each other. So that we can, intimate, genuine human interactions, it's an emotional thing, but it's also like a physical thing. If someone needs help building something, I'll help them because maybe they don't have the skills or the tools. I have 3 bills in life. Cell phone, vehicle registration, vehicle insurance. Those are my 3 bills. That's the only bills I have in life. I am not in debt. I don't have rent. I don't have an electric bill. I don't have a water bill. I don't have a car payment. I don't have credit card debt. I don't have school loans. I'm very fortunate, and I feel very, very fortunate I don't have any of those things. My vehicle registration insurance is less than $1 a day, total combined for those things. And my cell phone is about $50 a month. So I spend about, $2.33 a day, if my calculation's right. I spend less than $2.50 a day on the bills that I do have in my life. And then other than that, sometimes I buy food. Sometimes I buy fuel. Like biodiesel I have to buy for my startup fuel. And then the very occasional diesel. And then I'm just trying to think of the last time I spent money. Oh, I bought a meal. I very rarely buy a meal. 2 nights ago I bought a meal at the Boathouse. I make somewhere between like $5,000 and $8,000 a year. And that's, to me, that's living lush. And that's like, I do most of my own vehicle maintenance, but sometimes I need parts. Sometimes anytime I have extra time or money, I invest it back into myself or into my community so that I don't have to make as much money. So like if I do make money, like I'll invest in a solar panel. Or if I do make money, I'll invest in like I don't mind investing in tools, which I rarely buy new, but sometimes. I don't mind investing in a book that's going to teach me something. I don't mind investing in a part that's going to make my vehicle more efficient or just make it run. And so those are the things that I really will spend money on. One of the other things, which I should also include, I carry a pressure canner. It's one of my favorite things that I carry because I always end up with an abundant amount of food somehow, some way. I might be at the end of a festival, I've been serving tea there all weekend, and the kitchen's like, hey, we've got all these green beans. We don't know what to do with. Well, then I'll turn around and, we'll maybe make some dilly beans. I'll can some dilly beans, or I'll make a big soup and pressure can it, or I dumpster dove like this many organic purple potatoes from a natural food store in New Mexico, and I pressure canned like 9 jars of that, and been slowly eating the ones that I didn't pressure can. So when there's abundance, I take full advantage of it, and then I can pull up anywhere, and I don't have to know anyone. I don't have to expect anything or need anything from anyone. I can really focus on giving, and I don't have to worry. Oh, I'm hungry. I'm just finding my way around. I'm just going to open a can of soup that I made and eat it. The tea comes from every place that you can imagine it coming from. Individuals, nature, gardens, companies. The tea is free. Tea is always free for me. Maybe I'll put some rosemary that I grew in there. Part of the reason I can have a menu, which is so thorough and so awesome and so consistent, is because these are regularly donated teas, and then I've got specials and etc. The tea is given to me because people know that I'm going to give it away.